Yes guys, so today I'm introducing you to a very special car that I am mega excited about. I've been waiting on the edge of my seat to review this car. Okay, now every time I see this car I cannot help but stare and just stand still and just look at it from every possible angle. Richard Hammond, he reviewed this car in the Grand Tour, and instantly I was like, will I ever get to see one in person? Will I ever get to hear one? Will I ever get to drive one? This is a very special car. This is the Aston Martin Vantage V8. This car has a very special and rich story behind it. Not only is it the famous Yes Bruv car that you've seen on a lot of the rallies and tours and events that I've been on, but there's a lot of heritage behind this car as well. So the actual Vantage name has about 70 years of history with Aston Martin. So the story goes, the producers and directors of the James Bond movie Spectre and Skyfall, when they went to go and pick Bond's new car, they saw a real life scale model of the Vantage and they said, we want Bond's car to look exactly like this. And then the DB10 was made off of that, which I thought was a really cool, interesting fact. And I mean, when you see this car driving down the road, with the exception of the colour, it screams James Bond, it screams Secret Agent. When you hear it, it's no different. I absolutely love this car. I'm gonna give you a bit more of a closer insight to it, show you some of the cool features and some of my favourite things about it. This car, it's sort of positioned between, I'd say, the 911 Porsche. You could also kind of draw close comparisons to the AMG GT from Mercedes. And I'd probably say the Audi R8 as well. A lot of the reviews that you kind of read online, a lot of journalists, they all say kind of similar things about it. I'd probably say that this is a combination of all of the most best and special parts of all of those cars. Obviously, Porsche 911, you know, they're famous, they're classic cars. However, this particular car, I'd say that it's the perfect daily supercar. You know, the R8, the Porsche, they're very refined. When you get behind the wheel of one, you know, they're extremely well engineered. That's immediately apparent. However, the Aston Martin Vantage, it gives you supercar looks, supercar performance, and also usability, as I'll show you in a second. Wow. Now, you probably can't see me even over the edge of this door, but one thing that every journalist absolutely raves about this car is the driving position. So I can confirm you cannot see the front end of the bonnet of this car. All you can see is road. You can see obviously over the sweeping haunches on the exterior of the car, but the driving position is just unrivaled. The seats themselves, you sit nice and snug, right? It feels like a real driver's racer's position to be in. But one thing I have to test while I'm in this car is how low the driving position on this car goes. Wow, that's low. In the interest of stability and comfort, and when you're a driving purist, you want to sit nice and low down to the ground. I will get a little bit onto kind of the center of gravity and the kind of physics and dynamics of the car in a second, but sitting this low in a car like this, it just gives you all the confidence in the world. I feel like I'm in full control of the car, and when you've got a car like this, sending all the power to the back with this much power, you want to feel confident, you want to feel secure. And I'll be honest with you, this driving position is just unrivaled. That paired up with the kind of square shaped steering wheel, which I'll show you in a second, it's going to give you all the confidence to literally feel like you're James Bond. Just following on from the driving position of this car, inside of it exudes luxury. Leather and Alcantara everywhere. I think it might have been Richard Hammond or Remove from Race that said usually with Astons you'd expect, you know, them to just kind of warm up old Aston Martin parts and just chuck it in, and this is the latest model. No, this couldn't be further from the truth. All materials in here are the finest quality, the finest Alcantara leather. The buttons, everything feels brand new. I don't feel like I'm in a old Aston Martin just with everything thrown in. You've got an amazing infotainment system, which is a kind of relayered, resurfaced version of the Mercedes-Benz system. Square, flat bottom steering wheel. Everything in here has been redesigned and it screams Aston Martin quality, you know? So it's just a really nice place to be. Even the roof, obviously, if you've seen some of the pictures, I'm gonna send the link to Yes Bruv's Instagram. If you've seen some of the pictures, even the headlining is hoovered and it has the hoover lines in it, which is similar to Lambo STOs. hoover marks on the dashboard and the headline, and I'm going to insert some pictures and videos just to show you. But I'm going to move on to the practicality side of the car before we get onto the masterpiece, the real star of the show, which is the thumping twin turbo V8 engine. I'm just going to show you a few bits of how practical it is to live with a car like this over something like a Porsche 911 or an Audi R8. If you notice, the doors actually slide ever so slightly in the upwards position. Not full on Lambo Aventador, but I just feel like it's an absolutely cool touch to the design. Just to remind you, you're in something special. This is not a normal car. You're not in a Ford Focus. The way the doors just go up, it gives you that extra layer of theatre whenever you pull up. And for me personally, that's something that's ultra important about any car that I drive. No matter if it's an old beat up used car or if it's a supercar that I'm borrowing for the day or somewhere that I'm going, you want to show people that you've arrived. And with doors like this, it's very hard to hide the fact that you've arrived. So with the Aston Martin Vantage, you do get a humongous tailgate, operated by a button on the driver's door, and you just simply lift it up like that. Oh my goodness, that feels so light, so light. I mean, for a weekend car, going down to the Alps, south of France, Port of Banús, as YesBruv does on his leisurely weekends, it's got everything you need. Space for some holdalls, luggage, and then further into the car behind the seats, extended storage. So for me, this already is winning. Here it is, the main event, twin turbo AMG V8 engine. One really interesting thing about this car, right, which a lot of car enthusiasts forget, is that this is a mid-engine supercar. Now, although it is in the front where you know the bonnet is and where most front engine cars are and front wheel drive cars, look at the positioning. Look very carefully at the positioning of this car and then look at the design of it. All right, now that the bonnet's up, look where the engine is positioned in comparison to the rest of the car. And remember everyone, you've got the ZF gearbox as well running beneath it. There's a lot of components all throughout the tub of the car. And just think about the weight of all those components, okay? Now, this is why we define this car as a front mid-engine supercar. Because believe it or not, the weight distribution on this car is 50-50. So when you are driving it, you do have a perfectly balanced car. The engine doesn't start over here with a great big radiator here and then the engine over here. Look how far back the engine is. So there was a lot of thoughtful decisions that went into making this car, and they thought about how it would handle and how it would feel when you're driving it. So just wanted to show you that. Obviously, this is the Mercedes twin turbo V8, but quite interestingly, guys, have you ever heard of AMG engines being sent away to be tuned? Usually on an AMG, you'd see a plaque here which says it was hand built by whichever engineer, technician from AMG, put the engine together. However, with this particular block, they're put together by AMG in Alphaltobak, hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, then sent to Aston Martin to be tuned and refined. You'll know why in just a second when I ask YesBruv to start it up. Because Aston Martin, they weren't 100% satisfied that this would deliver the sort of emotions that they want you to experience when you drive and fire up a car like this. So they worked their magic on it. They got their engineers to give it a once over and make sure that AMG didn't skip a beat when putting these together. And then all the drama unfolds. That is insane. That is absolutely insane. And that